sometimes they will say, oh, no, your mother doesn't have a restaurant in New York. She's not making all that money. But she was actually making the money. But they would just reject me and, And
you just kept trying.
I just kept trying.
Never gave up.
I never gave up.
Hey everybody, welcome to Mission Control. This is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands, and we've got a special guest in studio, someone I recently met. Please help me welcome Maria Colón. Welcome to the show, Maria.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, you are the founder of EFS Digital.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, we can't wait to dive into that and learn more about what you do and how you do it. But first of all, let me introduce the one and only Jorge Pezo Candelario.
The Plátano Papi.
The Plátano Papi. That's a new one. He just made that up.
I think that's my favorite.
That's your favorite?
That's my favorite.
We should just stick with that.
I gotta share this episode with my mom. She's gonna like that one.
And of course, the man on the soundboard, Kevin Atterbury.
Hello.
It's always, I know it's coming, and it's just, I never expect it at the same time. It's always a surprise.
How could you prepare yourself for that? That's why he does it that way. He's
I will say that he's very creative because we were talking about Plátano before.
He is very creative. So we were talking about Plátano. So Maria, you are a fellow Dominican. So I have to ask you, Maduro or verde?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Wow.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
So, Jorge, what's your preference?
Marudos all day, but it's funny because I always grew up calling them amarillos, and it took me a while to understand.
That's like the more Puerto Rican way to say it.
Right. So it took a little while to understand. Wait, are you talking about?
Amarillos,
the first time we ever went out to go order Latino food, and you asked for that. I'm like, what is he? Okay, I figured it out now.
Well, in the cigar world, like maduros, and I'm thinking plátanos, but it means ripe in Spanish for the uninitiated. But the green ones versus like the more ripe ones, I guess if you let them, is it they just turn yellow over time and they?
Yes, that's what happened. They turn yellow over time. They get sweeter, right?
And they get sweeter.
So for us, for Dominican, it depends on what you're doing. Like if it's for lunch, you want your rice and bean with the maduros, right?
Right.
And then if you're just
something
eating something sweet, right? Yeah. But if you're doing like breakfast or dinner, then you're gonna do your mangú, and then you're gonna have the 4 golpe or 3 golpe.
Los 3 golpes, yes, the fried salchichon, the salami, the fried cheese, the fried egg.
It's so
this
funny.
Is for breakfast too, by the way.
It's so funny how we were just talking about.
You're ready to build a house after that breakfast. Pretty much.
It just gives you all the fuel that you need, that you could possibly want.
Also, I'm mad you didn't introduce me to that, Ramon.
Oh, man.
Another Dominican did, but it was so good.
It's so good.
So good.
My mom makes that like as a special treat now, and it's just like with the red onions on top and just a little drizzle of oil just so that it just slides on down even easier.
It's so funny how all these cultural things that you grew up with that you like I feel like as you get older, sometimes you start to drift away from having it as often. You know what I mean? Because basically, one could consider something a struggle meal, and now you look forward to it.
Right. There are things now that people eat that they don't have to eat it anymore, but it just brings back memories. Like my dad is famous for Thanksgiving. I had it catered once. I had Dana cater it once. Shout out to Creative Kitchen. And so I ordered like the whole Thanksgiving meal. So my dad is like, where's the turkey neck? Like he wanted the neck. And it's like the catering company probably like threw it away. They're probably like, nobody's going to eat this. But my dad was like looking forward to this.
Exactly.
Because he's probably was the youngest of 13. So maybe that's all he got. When it was Thanksgiving, was they threw him a neck bone, and he could take this thing and it'll look like you could put it in a museum. You could probably put it on your desk as a paperweight because he left it clean. Like it looked like mint, like a fresh bone that never had meat on it.
But also we Dominican, we don't throw away nothing.
We don't throw any.
We cook everything.
Right, we keep everything. That's why he's also a hoarder too. So but he doesn't throw away anything. But shout out to him. So Maria, solopreneur. We're going to get all into your story shortly, but I do want to just kind of talk about a little bit of the challenges when you do it all. What does your typical day look like?
Yeah, it is very challenging because you have to do everything in your business, from prospecting, right? You always have to be prospecting because that's how you get cash flow into the business, right? And then you have to go meet people. You have to do all the project management. You have to do, in my case, I have to do the campaigns, everything for the client, the research, the media buying, everything. So it's a lot of work for one person. So you have to have a good discipline. You have to have a structure of what you do in the morning. Usually for me, what I like to do in the morning is prospecting. Why? Because that's what's going to bring me more money to the business. And then after prospecting, I will go and do project management. I have to make sure that my clients' campaigns are running properly, that I'm taking care of any messages, anything that needs my attention in the morning. And then also I do a lot of training. Training is another part of my business because I'm working with technology. Google platform, Facebook platform, all those platforms keep on changing. So we have to keep on learning and seeing what's new so that we don't get any surprises when we go back to do our campaigns and things like that. But it's a lot of work.
It is. And most businesses, I believe it's a staggering statistic, of small businesses anyway, the majority of them don't have any employees.
Right.
You're established as a business, right? You created an LLC or a corporation of some sort, but you're like a team of one. Right. So you're what do they say, chief cook and bottle washer? You're doing like every aspect.
Yes.
And so I think that's a great tip, is to just kind of have a schedule, have a routine, and then have the discipline to say, okay, now I've got to switch from prospect. And that's how we met, by the way. You attended a networking event, right? At the New England Air and Space Museum.
Yes. So also one of the things that I would like to mention here is that when it comes down to your business, right, making sure that you have that discipline, that schedule, but also understanding that you have to be flexible, right? Because sometimes you have your schedule set up. You're going to do prospecting from 8 to 10, whatever that time is, and then something happened with a client, right? Sometimes you kind of like a doctor, right? 24/7, taking care of your clients. But for me, one of the reasons why I enjoy doing solopreneur at this time is because it gives me an opportunity to understand the business from all the different perspectives. Right. And this is going to become very important for me when I try to hire people to come and do the work, because now I understand what needs to be done, but also I can train them to do things in a very specific way, right? Because there's a lot of different ways that you can do things. You can create your own video libraries. You can show them, hey, this is how I like to do this. This is a way to do it. Now, also with the understanding that you want to be flexible enough to allow that person to have their own creativity, right? To bring new ways of doing things and to be open to that.
Right. They say as soon as you start saying, well, that's how we've always done it, you're slowly dying.
Exactly.
You should always be innovating, but
we're dying.
Yeah, exactly. But you do bring up a good point that onboarding is important. You know, like understanding how every aspect of your business is supposed to happen will allow you to kind of bring that person in and say, okay, here's our method, but if you can improve upon it, go for it.
The duality of having consistency to have a better end experience, not only for the people doing the work, but for the clients who are receiving the work. And then the open-mindedness to be able to innovate on that, to find, okay, how could we do that better or more efficiently, and being able to be in both lanes at the same time.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think it's also, as they say, to thine own self be true, as the owner, you've got to be aware of what are your weak points. Like, what is it that you're doing that I'm not good at? And that typically will give you a clue as to, like, well, this is probably the area that I need my first hire in.
And I know I'm pretty aware of that. For me, I'm very techie. I like doing the behind the scene. I love doing the troubleshooting, setting landing pages, setting the campaigns and things like that. The sales part, that's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, well, you did a good job when you came up to our table. You weren't shy at all.
Yeah, but I'm an introvert. I have to put myself out there.
Right.
And sometimes for the business, and also I try to say I don't want my limitation to keep me stuck.
Right.
I need to go
Right.
beyond that. And it takes a lot of work, but once you make the decision to have a business, to be an entrepreneur, you have to go through those challenges. You have to go and, understand how you work, what are the challenges that you have, what are the things that you need to work on. And work on it. And every day is kind of like being an alcoholic. Every day is a new day.
Yeah. Well, it's also getting out of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Right? And you have to do that. Well, we can't wait to learn all about how you created this business and learn a little bit about your story right after these words.
Okay.
All right. Well, this episode here is brought to you by the Connecticut Small Business Boost Fund. It gives small business owners access to flexible funding for capital expenditures and working capital and connects them with support services. Small businesses and nonprofits can borrow between $5,000 and $500,000 depending on eligibility and need. And you can spend how you spend the money. It could be equipment, payroll, utilities, supplies, marketing, advertising, all that good stuff. And they're very low interest over a 60 to 72 month term. You can get more information and you can apply at ctsmallbusinessboostfund.org.
3, 2, 1. Let's go. We launch freedoms.
And we're back. Please help me once again to welcome Maria Colón, the founder of EFS Digital. Yes, the fans are going wild.
Yes, I like that.
Very popular. So EFS Digital, it's an agency that you founded to help small business owners grow. So tell us your story.
Okay, so I'm going to start from the very beginning. So I was born in the Dominican Republic in 1974. My mother was a single mother, and when I was about 3 years and a half, she migrated to New York, to the United States. She came with an ambassador. She was a nanny, and she left me and my little sister. She was a year and a half with my grandmother in Dominican Republic in the countryside. So here we are, my little sister and me, and we're growing with my grandmother. And it was a very remote area in the Dominican Republic. But every now and then I will go to the capital because my godmother lived in the capital, and I will go visit her. So I had the opportunity to live in the countryside, but also go to the capital every now and then. To be honest with you, I enjoy the countryside more than the capital because in the countryside, I will go
Peaceful.
to the river, go in the guava tree, go do things, go to the mountains and play with my friends. And, I just love it there. Even though it was a very poor area, for me, I enjoy it more than going to the big house that my godmother had in the capital. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but it was kind of like, it was like a sanctuary. Mm-hmm. For me, it was like a peaceful. I was with my grandmother, who for me was my mother. Mm-hmm. So I grew up there until about I was 10 years old. And then when I was 10, let me go back a little bit. My mother came to the Dominican Republic after being here for like 8 years. So when she came back, I was, I was grown. I didn't remember much of her, to be honest with you. But she came back with my siblings. She had twins when she, here in New York. And she came back. They were 2 months and a half. And she married someone from the north side of the island, from Mau Valverde. And so I have a stepfather. And then, everything was well. But then when they were 3 years old, they got an accident. They were traveling just came from New York City. They were traveling from the airport to their family in Mau Valverde. And they had a big accident.
Car accident?
A car accident coming from the airport. And they were about 3 years old when that happened. Oh. So I was living in the South. My mom calls me and say, hey, I was 8 years old at that time. No, actually, no, I was like 10 years old. And she said, you have to go and take care of them because she couldn't move from New York because she has to pay the car because it was someone that they knew that, she rented the car from. So now she has to stay here at work and pay for all the expenses. And then of course, my stepfather was in the accident and it was a mess. So I went to live in Mar Verde, and locally for me, I was about 10 years old. That's when I learned about new stuff, because I was living in a very remote area with my grandmother. I went to school because I took a notepad and a pen, and I said, I'm going to go to school. My grandmother never told me to go to school. I did it on my own. On my own. I'm just going to go learn. And I discovered that I love to learn. So when I was living with my grandmother, I didn't know anything. The only thing that I knew was the timetable from 2 to 10. From 2 to 12. I didn't know nothing else. So I just knew math. And so I moved to the north side of the island, to Mar Verde, and to take care of my siblings. They had broken bones too. My brother had his leg were broken. My little sister had her arm broken. Boy. They were lucky to be alive. Everybody that saw the accident would say, like, how are they alive? Right. I mean, it was crazy. So I stayed there taking care of them. And then I ended up staying there for 5 years. Wow. Because little after, probably like 6 months later, my mom she was so concerned that she brought them back to New York City, and my brother was still in the cast when she brought them back. So but I stayed with the family because I was living, with my stepfather's sister, and lucky for me, I learned so much with that family, and I'm so appreciative. I learned, how to have discipline, how to, get up at 4 a.m. I was going to 8th grade, and I was getting up at 4 a.m. to study. I don't know. And I also learned how to do sports. I was into a ping pong table tennis team. I was running, I was learning, and I was, having a lot of fun as a young, almost a teenager, and I enjoy it. And I discovered that I like, the discipline, that I like to study, that I like to learn. But then when I was 15 years old, my mother, she ended up separating my stepfather, and she didn't want me to stay in with her family. So I had to move back to the capital this time with some relative. So I moved to the capital, and I was there for 3 years. I was going to high school. Again, I was still into learning. That was my main concentration. Just going to school. I did very well at school. And then when I was about 17 years old, I got my visa to come here. Now, keep in mind that I was going to visit for my visa. I went 3 times, and those 3 times I was rejected. And I was rejected because sometimes they would say, oh, no, your mother doesn't have a restaurant in New York. She's not making all that money. But she was actually making the money. Mm-hmm. But they would just reject me, and,
And you just kept trying.
I just kept trying.
Never gave up.
I never gave up. But the last time I went, when I was 17 years old, I go there, and the guy says, well, you know what? I'm not going to give you the visa. These papers are not, these papers are fake. Oh, boy. And you're not going to get a visa. And by the way, you're going to have to wait 10 years to get a visa again, because I think your mother, she paid for these papers. And I'm like, really? I had no idea.
It was almost like a punishment, or like you broke the law or something.
Or something like that. So I had no idea. So I just kind of took my passport, took everything, and I was leaving the building when I overheard my last name in the speaker. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, someone's calling my last name. And then I look, and they had those bulletproof windows. Yeah. And the guy is asking calling me, asking me, come back. So I go back, and I'm like, what's going on? He said, how old are you? And I said, well, I'm 17. He said, well, you're 17, you're almost 18, you're almost an adult. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you the visa. Wow. And you're going to go to United States, and you're going to work, and you're going to pay taxes, and you're going to do this. And I said, no, I'm going to go to United States, and I'm going to study. Wow. And I was like, that's what I want to do, because that was my dream. And he said, no, you're gonna go and work. I said, no, I'm gonna study. So I started
well, good on you, but I probably wouldn't. I'm starting an argument with him.
It's amazing though. I can see all these qualities, right? You can see the qualities of an entrepreneur, of even from a young age, getting up at 4 a.m, and discipline. of
and it's
that,
innate. It's like built in.
Exactly.
Yes.
It came from you. That get it done by any means necessary type of
Exactly.
attitude, that grit and determination after being turned down over and over, still persevering. And you can see that through your whole life story. So it makes sense. Now I'm seeing all the pieces come together, how you ended up, going out on your own and starting your own business.
Right. So I ended up coming here. So I got the visa. I came here. I was super excited because it was my first time living with my mother and my siblings, right? We were kind of like a family. When I came in, though, I'm going to be very honest, I found my mom. My mom had lost her restaurant. She had a partnership with someone, and they made her sign some paper. They took her, part of the business.
Advantage.
Yeah, she had lost, like, at that time, probably like 5 different businesses. Because I always say my mom was not an entrepreneur. She was a cook. And she just wanted to cook for herself and, have a business and do it on her own way. But she was not really an entrepreneur. So then I found my mom in these conditions. My siblings were there. So I always, help her with my siblings. She started working for for a friend on another restaurant. So I would go, when I came, I was 17, but I was not done with high school. I still needed to do like 1 year, and plus I didn't have the language. I knew a little bit about English, like I can defend myself and read signs and go and take the subway in New York City and read downtown, uptown, make kind of sense out of it. But then I needed to learn more. So I went to high school in New York. I went to Brandeis High School, and I finished high school there. I was doing ESL, and I was helping my mom after school. I would go help my mom with the restaurant, and also help her with my siblings. And then I finished high school. I enrolled in college. I went to Lehman College in the Bronx. I majored in computer science. And while I was going to...
and why computer science of all of the majors you could have gone into?
Oh, that's great. So I did computer science. At the beginning, I was doing liberal arts. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So first, I was doing computer management, which was more like economics and some computers, some computer application like Lotus Note. That's kind of like a spreadsheet nowadays.
Lotus Notes just took me back. That's amazing.
Yes. So I was doing computer management. I did well with the economic classes and things like that, but I was not passionate about it. And then, but I love math. So I found a friend that said, "Whoa, why don't you do computer science? You're good in math. Just do computer science." I'm like, "Yeah, let me do that." So I joined the computer science. I did the computer science, and I love it. I did it, and I think it was the best decision I made back in college, because right after college, it took me a while to get a job, but I got a job at Electric Boat, and I was an engineer one when I started it, and it was crazy the way that happened, by the way.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's military. You're working on nuclear subs.
And out of curiosity, what languages are you writing in?
At that time, well, we're talking about, I was hired in 1999 for the Y2K. You remember how everybody was like,
every computer system ever was going to shut down.
Yeah, but at that time we were working. It was very we were doing Pascal, which, they were doing, Java was kind of like, booming, but we were only using Java for certain applications like user interfaces and things like that. But there's Ada, which is the official language for system and things like that. So there were different languages, and sometimes depending on what type of system you work, and you will work in different languages. Yeah, programming languages. But it was very exciting at the beginning. So that's a lot of, working for such a big company and learning, and the team. It was amazing. But going back to my story, when I came over and I was living with my mom, I was helping her during my college years. I also did track and field. So I was, the way I got into track and field was kind of interesting, because I just met a friend in college, and she wanted to lose weight. And it happened that they just opened a new fitness center. They spent like $65 million on this fitness center in the college that I was attending. And we were like, wow, this state-of-the-art facility, let's use it. So we started going there, and I kind of started running and doing all this stuff. And also the treadmill. So at the beginning, I will walk on the treadmill and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm going to fall. And then I started kind of imagining, oh, there is a dog behind me. The dog is coming. So I started running to the point that I started to be there for like an hour and a half, just running on the treadmill. And then the one of the fitness, the PE, instructor saw me. I'm like, you should be in track. I'm like, okay.
He probably saw her form. He's like, we need
the scouting the talent right there.
I love the dog show.
Yeah, it's amazing. So
motivation.
Yeah.
Mom said I need like a pie in front of me, just slightly out of reach.
Kevin's motivation is in front.
Like a food truck that's driving away.
Oh,
yeah. So that's how I joined track and field. And then because I joined track and field, and the coach at that time, he was also the head of the student activities. So through track and field, I was also part of the student activity. I was in every activity that was involved in college, because through my coach, we will get access to, it was kind of like a college aid, that you can work for the student activity office with the clubs, all the different events. And I was like everywhere. So I was doing that as I was also, pursuing my career. Yeah, it was fun.
And did Electric Bolt have some sort of recruiting program with this college?
So the way it happened was, so I graduated from college with my degree in computer science. I went to multiple places. Back during those days, they were looking for a lot of engineers because of the Y2K and a lot of things were going on. So I interviewed with IBM in Raleigh, North Carolina. I went to different programs. And then one day there was a job fair, a career fair in New York City in one of the Hilton Hotel. I went there and they were almost done. They were packing. And then this guy was just standing there. And he said, oh, who are you? And he started asking me questions. I had my resume. And he said, oh, yeah, I'm from Electric Bolt. I didn't know. What Electric Bolt? No, I didn't know. So I gave him my resume, and he said, okay. Now, back in the days when you were looking for jobs, you had like those answering machines. You remember those?
Oh, yeah, a little tape on that. You
Yes.
like rewind. Let me hear that again.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had one of those because I was looking for jobs, right? So I would come home every afternoon and play it. And
if that light was blinking, you were like, yes.
yes, looking for an interview. But
it's so funny how technology changes the whole life experience. There's a whole generation that have no idea what answering machines were. It's incredible. Anyway.
So I was looking for that phone call and things like that. And then one day I opened the mailbox and I get this letter. And it has a summary. And it says, we would like to, for you to come for an interview, call this number. And I look at it and I say, who sends a letter for an interview? Nowadays, they're calling you and leaving you messages. So I was skeptical. I was like, I don't want to call. Yeah. But it looked like it was real.
Legit.
Yeah, it looked legit. So someone told me, just call. You never know. So I called them. They gave me an interview. I didn't even know how to drive, by the way. I was like 25 or something. And I didn't know how to drive because New York City, you just take the public transportation, right? So here I am in New York City. I have to come to Groton. And I have to come in for an interview.
That's a good couple hours, 2.5 hours.
Yeah. So they pay for the transportation, but I took the Amtrak, right? I came to New London, and then I went to my interview. I didn't know what I was doing. Here I am. If you've been in that area, it's not a bus-friendly area. There's no public transportation. Right. It's not easy. Like if you're going to go to a place like it's 15 minutes away, it will take you 2 hours, 2 hours and a half, right? So here I am. I have to figure this out. So I go for my interview, and it was amazing because the person that I gave my resume to, he was there. He was very friendly.
You made an impression on him.
Yes,
obviously.
I did. Yeah.
And normally, that's military, so there's a lot of military people there, and right?
Yeah. Well,
they get government contracts.
Yes,
basically.
yes. Basically, we, it's not military per se, but the products is for the military.
Man, so first job out of college, Electric Bolt.
Yeah.
So you're doing that. At some point, you decided that wasn't for you anymore.
So I stayed there for 18 years.
Whoa.
Yes, so I left
full
2017. Yes, but during the time that I was there, I started first as an engineer. Then I moved up to being a senior engineer. Then I became a lead software. Kind of was leading some of the projects. I had an amazing team. It was amazing. So I was also.
I also have to ask: did you end up having to have any like special clearance given the projects that you guys were working on?
Yeah, based on the projects that you work, you go through different clearance. Yes, but the biggest thing there was that it was really I was a minority. I have an accent. I'm a female, and it's a male predominant work. So it was impressive. Now I look back and like if you ask me how did you do it, I wouldn't be able to tell you. It's like there's not a recipe to do something like that. You just do. You just get up every day. You just follow your heart. You follow your intuition. And you just do it. There is no second guess. There is not, am I going to do this today? Am I going to get up in the morning? And no, you just do it. And that's what I did. So it's not like I plan in my head, hey, I'm going to end up working for military. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that when I was in college, I tried to get into the Army 3 times. So it was like military was in my future, right? But I always found someone that would say, no, don't do it yet, because if you go now without having a degree, you're just going to be peeling potatoes.
Yeah, you're not going to come in as an officer if you have the degree, yeah.
Exactly. But in my mind, there was never like a plan. I'm going to go do this, do that. No, it happened. And I think that's one of the things that I have learned about myself, at least, that is true for me, is that whenever I do what I like to do, everything that I need comes to me.
Divine intervention or destiny. A lot of what you're sharing is just like destiny, like it was just meant to be the way things are working out for you.
You find people in the right places at the right time, and you just gotta know what feels good to you.
Right.
If you know that, then you're never wrong.
Right.
You know what feels good.
So full career there. I want to get to that pivotal moment. What happened?
Yeah, so a lot happened. So in 2017, actually, I decided to leave like a year earlier. It took me a year to prepare mentally to really leave because it was a great job. I had a great team. My management, everybody was amazing. So I cannot say enough about how much support did I have working for Electric Boat, it was an amazing career there. But I had a conflict, right? I knew that I needed to do something, but I was pushing it. So it took me a year to really make the decision. One thing that I forgot to mention, that I had a previous business in New York City. I had a business with my ex-husband where we got a restaurant. My mom used to own restaurants, so we tried to have a restaurant. And I went through an ordeal with that business because it was a restaurant, but the place was not set up for a restaurant. It was not per code. Okay. So we took 3 years to fix that restaurant. That was in 2011. And we took 3 years to open it, paying rent and doing everything. And then we had it open for 2 years. And then at some point I shut it down just because it was too much. So I have all that going on while I was working at Electric Boat.
Wow.
And then at one point in 2016, I shut down the restaurant. And then the following year I decided to leave the company. And it's not like there was a moment. I just knew that I was done. I just knew that I needed to do something else. I didn't know what that was, but I had 2 little kids, by the way.
Man, so
my
taking
daughter.
a huge risk. I mean, you're gonna leave a steady paycheck with a family but there was something inside you telling you this is it, this is the time. You're just listening to your intuition.
Yes, and one of the things that I want to share here is that it's not easy and it's not for everybody. I'm living a career. I was getting paid really good money. I had everything, the house, a car, and everything. But sometimes, and I have a family that I had to take care of it. And by the way, I also got divorced during that same year. So it was a lot going on. But for me, it was like I need to do this because I felt that if I was not living true to myself, what kind of role model I've been to my kids? If I'm not chasing my dreams, what am I teaching my children? Right. If they see me that I'm not happy doing what I'm doing, getting up every day, then what I'm teaching them, I have to teach them to go after what they believe. And even though they're going to see some struggles, I'd rather see them going through some struggle than seeing me being unhappy because I'm not doing what I want to do. Right? So it was a lot. And if somebody asked me today, hey, do you recommend someone to leave their career to start a new business? I would say, this is not for everybody. Right. Because one of the things that I had learned when I look back, the challenges is not going to be with your family, with your friends, the financial. That's not the challenge. The real challenge is your mind. Every day telling you 24/7, you're not going to be successful. You are going to have a lot of problems. You don't have this. You don't have that. You need the money. It's 24/7 and you cannot turn it off. Friends and family, they will think you're crazy, but you don't have to see them all the time. You can just don't go visit them. Right? Or my brother, like he always tell me every time he sees me that he doesn't understand what I did. So I just don't go see him. But the real challenge for anybody that does that type of, that decides. Makes that kind of
a change.
Yeah, that is kind of like jumping off a cliff and hoping that there's going to be something there to sustain you.
You can't see it, but
you can see it, but you have to have faith.
A leap of faith moment.
Yes. So the biggest challenge is your mind. So, and another thing that I learned later on was that, you see, there's two kind of people. You either are wired to be an employee or you are wired to be an employer, to be an entrepreneur. I learned that I was wired to be an employee. Right? So now I had that challenge. Not only I had to deal with my mind telling me that I won't be able to do this, but how do I refrain? How do I reprogram myself to think like an entrepreneur? What are the steps that I need to do? And sometimes, there's a lot of self-help book and things like that you can learn, but the learning is in the practice. Right. You have to go through situations and you got to be very creative and you need to allow yourself to relearn and to take everything that doesn't work for you and reprogram yourself with things that you think is going to work for you. And then it's trial and error, right?
Right. Now, my main question is, why marketing? Because you had a background in restaurants.
I wasn't that great at it because I lost it.
No, but it seems like you going from computer engineering, what was it about marketing that attracted you, that made you think you could be good at it?
You know what? I remember, that's a great question, because I remember one day I was going to work in the morning and I was kind of like, every now and then I would go online and I was kind of like thinking, how these people make it online? What is it that they do online? That there was something about the online business that kind of like got my attention. I didn't know. I just had that thought, right? And that was probably 1 or 2 years before I made the decision. And then the reason I got into marketing was because after I left my career, I started saying, well, I'm just going to go and figure it out. I had no clue what I was going to do next. And I had 2 little kids, right? So what I did was I started investigating. So I created a e-commerce store. Shopify was a new platform at that time. So I created my Shopify store. I did everything. I did drop shipping from China, doing jewelry and all that. I created a beautiful website and I loaded tons of product, 0 sales. And I'm like, what am I going to do? It's a beautiful store, but I'm not getting sales.
Where's the traffic? Like,
I need sales. I need people. It's like, I always tell people, having a website and not having traffic is like moving to a new house and not going to the mail, to the post office to tell them that you live there. So your mails are never going to get delivered, right? So what I did was I started looking into marketing. I started learning back in the days, 2018, Ty Lopez, Chris Recker, all those affiliate marketers were really popular. So I started learning affiliate marketing. I love it. So because I can do the landing pages, I can do all the automations, I can do Yeah, everything. And I love it because it was kind of different system, communication, kind of similar to what I was doing before, right? So I started doing that, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this instead. So I shut down the store, and I concentrated on affiliate marketing. So I did that for a year and a half. And then after a year and a half, and I look at the number, I was like, oh, it's fun, but I'm not making a lot of money on this, because in affiliate marketing, you have to set up everything. If you do an online affiliate marketing, you have to set up the landing pages, you have to set up the automation, you have to pay for traffic. And then if you make a sale, then you get a commission. So it's pretty good for the business owner, because you have other affiliates or marketers to go sell your product, and then you just give them a percentage of the sale, right? But you don't have to promote it. You don't have to spend money promoting. So I figure, well, it's not working for me. And then I'm like, a year and a half I spent learning marketing. Now I'm going to throw all that out. And then I'm like, I happened to hear one business owner saying, oh, I'm not getting clients. It was a local business owner. And I'm like, how can I take all this marketing knowledge that I have and apply it to local marketing so that I can help local businesses?
Where were you? You just overheard somebody?
Yeah, I went to visit. He was selling like washer and dryers and all stuff.
Like an appliance store?
Yeah, appliance store. And I was listening to him, and I'm like, he wanted to do.
Picture her like having a cup of coffee and like.
Yeah, he was like, nobody in his store. And then
talk about the universe in the right time,
Putting
right
you
place,
right
right
there,
time.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and then I got this idea. And then the funny thing, now that you said the right time, is that I said, I need to learn how to do local marketing, because you see, when you do affiliate marketing and you are promoting products and service, you're promoting U.S., Canada, England, all the English-speaking country, whatever, depending on what product or service you're selling, right? So I knew how to do it globally, but I didn't know how to narrow it down to target local market. And I knew that was going to be a different strategy, because there's different metrics that you're going to be looking into.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need to figure this out. You know what? I go to YouTube, I find these people, local marketing, how to do. I'm like, that's what I need.
Bam.
Bam, I
The
get
universe is just helping you. Like, okay,
Right.
here you go. Come this way.
Yeah, so I went in, I learned how to do local marketing. It was the most amazing. It's like a business in a box that they sell you, right? And it was, I could tell you, there's a lot of trainings online. I did so many because I love learning, and I'm this kind of person that I will get into that. Like, I need to learn more, and I don't think that I know enough, and I need to keep on learning and learning. But what I figure is most of the training you find online is kind of like selling you a car without the wheels. And why I said that is because...
I love the metaphors that she's dropping there.
This is great.
And I say that because you go through the training, right? But there's always you get stuck, and they don't tell you how to get unstuck. So you have to go figure it out. Luckily, I'm very resourceful. If I don't know something, I will figure it out. I'm not going to stop until I figure it out. And so I will buy a training. I will do all the steps, and then it won't work, and then I'll go figure it out. So eventually, after going through so many trainings, I figure, well, most training out there, they just sell you a car with no wheels. So you have to be resourceful. You have to be very proactive if you want to make it work.
Yeah.
So
EFS Digital, founded in 2017 or 18?
Well, so EFS Enterprises, which is my business, it was founded in 2017. EFS Digital is my DBA now.
That's your agency. The
Yeah.
DBA for the agency.
That was a few years later.
Okay. And so what are some of the services you're offering clients now?
So EFS Digital, we like to work with a small business owner. We can work with any business, but we've been focusing with a small business owner, usually home services. We also work with like wellness. By the way, that was the first thing I was going to do, wellness, because that's my thing. But we work with, we're trying to concentrate on home services. And the reason for that is because most people, when they have a problem, what they do, they go to Google, they find
Home
a
services
solution.
like plumber,
roofers, electricians, So that kind of thing. But we work with any business, but we focus more on home service.
Yeah, I got to connect you with Jennifer at the Minority Construction Council.
Yeah, okay.
Because that would be a great organization for you for EFS Digital. any success stories? Like somebody, like how did that guy do with the appliances? Were you able to help his business?
Well, with him, we ended up building him. He needed a complete, like when sometimes business come to you, but they're not even ready.
Yeah.
He wants more customer, but he didn't have a working website at that time.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's the first thing, right? So we got him a website. Then he had someone from his family that was helping them with some marketing, but we got him a very professional website. And he was our client for like 5 years.
Wow.
And then eventually what happened was they went into a different platform. They wanted to do something different.
Right. So take us through some of the services. I know you've got some certifications now with Google. You're doing Google Ads.
Yeah, I do Google Ads, Facebook. We also, because like I say, I'm a solopreneur and I do all my own marketing.
Yeah.
So I learned everything. So everything for my own business. I do also, like sometimes you will get business owner that they don't have a website. We do landing pages for them. If I need to go and create a landing page to send traffic, I do that. All the automation to make sure that they get in their leads, the information they want. They have a CRM. If they don't have a CRM, we can set it up for them. Depending on the budget, depending on what they need to be done, the idea is to get them results as quick as possible. So I'm going to look at the hanging fruits, meaning if you already you're collecting emails, maybe an email marketing campaign is the best place to get you some sales. If you have a Google profile, I'm going to look into your Google reviews. Do you have enough review? Are the people locally finding you? So we're going to look at those resources first, things that don't cost too much money to get you some sales. And then we're going to go from there. That's the whole idea.
Excellent. Well, I mean, what advice would you give someone out there that is not happy and wants to change careers?
What I would say is, if you have a job that is paying your bills, don't leave it.
That's what I always say.
Yes.
Don't leave it yet.
Yes.
Please, don't do what I did, because what I did is crazy.
You need a sound effect. Oh, man.
So don't do what I did.
Yeah.
Just, work on your business. After work,
right.
Little by little, grow it.
Moonlight.
Yes.
Keep that check coming,
and
secure
then,
the bag.
Yeah, and then once you have the money coming in consistently for, I would say, 3 to 6 months, that you have your clients, everything is working fine, then you do that. But don't do like I did, because it's not easy. And you can lose your mind.
Oh, man. Well, Maria, tell us how folks might be able to find you. Maybe share some of your contact info or your web link. And
Sure.
The social handles.
Yeah, they can find me my website, EFSDigital.com. They can see all the different services that I provide. My email is maria, EFSDigital.com. I do also have Facebook and Instagram. You can find me there.
Excellent. And bonus question, what does the EFS stand for?
That's an amazing question, and I'm glad you asked me, because EFS stands for Engineer for Success.
Nice. Engineered for Success, EFS Digital.
Yes.
Well, Maria, your story is inspiring. I love your energy. I love all the metaphors, your determination from very humble roots to now helping businesses. So we wish you nothing but success, and maybe there's some opportunity for us to collaborate and work together.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation, and thank you guys for being here. Awesome. I love it. Awesome. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you for listening to this episode of Mission Control. Until next time, this is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands.